Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week we talk about the Royals, the Emmy nominations, and Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. We end with our weekly feature, the comments of the week. The stories, photos, and tweets we talk about can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 97. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra, I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
So we're going to be off next week because this is our third episode in a row. And then we'll be back August 1st, or maybe July 31st if I put this out on Saturday again. We'll see what happens. People say they like it coming out Saturday, but there's no strong opinion either way, so.
Yeah, I think most people they try to listen to us on the weekend anyway, so.
Yeah. I'll try for Saturdays and see if it keeps working. So the big news is that this last weekend I met Karen in person, and you guys might know Karen from the Zooms. I always put her first because she listens to our podcast, and I swear she has gotten really good at bringing up the subjects that she knows I'm going to want to excerpt for the podcast. So I put her first a lot when I'm excerpting that because, she does it so well. But that was wonderful to meet her. It felt like I already knew her because I talked to her on Zoom. I've been talking to her for well over a year, so that was fun.
That's nice.
Yeah, my son's away with his dad overseas, so I was able to drive a little bit to meet her, and it was cool to hang out. And but yeah, my son's been gone for a few weeks, and at first I liked it, but then it felt really empty in my house, and I miss him.
You should have gotten a cat or a dog.
I want a cat or dog, but I rent my house, and my landlord is so sweet. Like, I think she would totally let me, but I don't want to push her because she already wanted me to move out, like, now. Because I took this house saying that, well, my son is graduating this year, and he did decide to take more time in school because of the pandemic and everything. So she already said I could stay another year, so I don't want to be like, oh, hey, can I get a cat or a dog now?
Yeah, I've just been thinking about it because there was a free kitten day at my local shelter.
Aww.
I made the mistake of looking at all the photos. I mean, all of the photos. And I was like, oh, shit, I want like 5 of these kittens.
Oh, cats are so sweet. The kittens are cute, too. But I remember when my dear departed cat, Boki, when Boki was a baby, he pooped all over my comforter. I remember, and I was like, oh, that's disgusting. But he was really sweet. And
yeah, most cats and kittens, they get litter pan trained right away. Like, you just have to show it to them once or twice, and they usually get it.
I think he was mad at me. I don't think it was a mistake. I had people over my house. I'm pretty sure he was pissed at me for something. He was a sweet cat, and he turned around after that.
Well, my mom got a new kitten, and she is terrible at naming cats, and she named the cat Tinkerbell.
Aw.
Oh.
What color is it?
This cat, it's like a total trailer trash cat. Like, Tinkerbell's mom was like whoring around with a lot of different cats. And the cat, I don't know, she's just kind of like gray and yellow and a little bit orange, and there's like some tiger stripes, and it's just a motley assortment of colors. But she's a cutie, and
Aww.
She's like a little crackhead, and she's just running around constantly.
Hopefully she'll calm down when she gets older and gets fixed and all that.
Yeah. Well, she's already fixed.
Oh, that's not.
So that's why there's some concern.
Hecate cat got a new kitty. She got a little black kitty.
Yeah,
really
I saw
sweet.
the photos. It looks a lot like my little panther kitten, but my panther kitten, it has a little pointy rat face. Her cat is like normal looking cat.
I've had 3 black cats in my life. I love black cats. They're so pretty.
They have so much personality.
They do.
Black kitties.
Aw, stop. Now I want a cat. And my son loves cats. And whenever you see pictures of him with cats, his face is like lighting up. So I think he wouldn't mind if we got one.
Cats are amazing.
They are. So I wanted to talk about a new podcast called Lovers Forever. It's on Apple Podcasts. I know I sound all like formal, but this is just a podcast I like that my friend Amber put out. Her first episode is about Ava Gardner and Frank Sinatra's relationship. And she starts by kind of telling their backgrounds and everything. And she loves old Hollywood. She's like the old Hollywood expert in our Zoom. Her podcast is really fascinating. I was impressed with it. So I wanted to give her a shout out. And it's called Lovers Forever.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was. I was like enthralled with the first one. So you've been watching Wimbledon, but that's over. So you must be like sad.
No, I'm not sad because like it's a lot when a slam is on. It's like 2 full weeks of just like obsessing over the matches and all that. I really enjoyed this year's Wimbledon. It was a lot of fun. There were a lot of really great matches, mostly on the women's side. Like the women's part of the tournament was awesome. Like the entire 2 weeks. And the women's final was so good. And I love the young woman who won, Ash Barty, who's Australian. Okay. And she's number 1. And she seems like a really awesome person. And she beat Karolína Plíšková. And then Djokovic won his 20th slam on the men's side. It was sort of like just an inevitable march for him to win this title. So it wasn't as exciting on the men's side, but... So the Duchess of Cambridge is the royal patron of the All England Club. Okay. Or Wimbledon, the tournament. And the Duke of Kent is the president, honorary president of the All England Club.
Can I interrupt? I had to look up that dude because he's just another old royal dude to me. Mm-hmm. His name is Prince Edward, but he's the Queen's cousin.
Right. This is not Prince Michael of Kent. It's different Kents. This is the Duke of Kent. And he's this very old dude. And if you watch Wimbledon, you've seen him always. Like, he's at almost all of the matches on center court. And he's always there to present the trophies. This was his last year. Aww. And so Kate she's been trying to get his job, basically, for the past decade. And she's finally pushed him out. And so this year was supposed to be, like, her big debut and, like, I figured that she was probably going to go to more matches this year. Yeah. But then she got, like, exposed to COVID and, like, she had to, like, miss Wimbledon for a week. And then she shows up at the finals. And William went to the women's final for the very first time. He usually never goes to women's matches. Oh, okay. And then he skipped the men's final because I guess he wanted to, like, build up the suspense for, the football match.
Because that was the same day but later or something? The Euro final?
Yeah, it was later in the evening.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And you said that they had like a weird vibe like Kate and William did when they were together at the women's?
Well, the whole thing was weird. So Kate really wasn't getting that much attention. She was trying to like be like the next Duke of Kent. She was trying to be like Miss Tennis. And no one really gave a shit. So she was just sort of preening all by herself. And then, like, William doesn't even show up for the men's final, and she was supposed to be there to present the trophy, in which she was, but they let the Duke of Kent pass it out for the very last time.
He should have been able to, especially if he's the...
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And he did.
I think the general public really knows what kind of people Kate and William are. It's not just gossips like you and me anymore. I think after Meghan told her truth, everyone is like, oh, they're assholes.
Yeah, I agree. And that's always kind of startling for me that other people are paying attention to it, like the public at large. When we were watching like the live feed of Philip's funeral, I was shocked when MSNBC was like actually making references to, oh, Harry has come back and there was a lot of dispute for this and this and this.
After the Oprah interview, then Prince Philip passed. I think that's when the tide started turning in the Sussexes' favor, where it was less of people thinking that they were being prima donnas by leaving and more people understanding that it was a necessity for them for their mental health.
Yeah, and I think that the Sussexes actually had support when they left. I'm sure some people did think they were prima donnas, but even people who are like casually royal watchers, like, oh, I like Diana, Will and Harry seem cool.
Yeah.
They were aware that like Meghan was being smeared every fucking day, that they were not leaving this poor woman alone.
Yeah, I think they were aware to a certain extent. They thought it was rude, but they didn't get how bad it was.
Yeah, and that's where the Oprah interview really gave them the chance to tell their side of the story.
Exactly. So one thing that happened at the women's final that you posted today was that Priyanka Chopra was 2 rows behind Will and Kate when they came to sit down in the royal box. And everybody was, not everybody, but most people were politely clapping for them. And Priyanka like fixed her scarf. She tossed her hair. She gave him a quick glance to the side. And then she looked away and she didn't even clap. It was so good. It was shady. I loved it.
It was shady. It was funny. And I was like surprised to see Priyanka in the royal box anyway. And there was like a little moment of, oh, I wonder what she's going to do. But like she just basically just blanked them completely throughout the match entirely.
That was good.
Oh, and we didn't talk about the fact that like all of Australia is pissed off at Will and Kate now because of the women's final. Australians think that Will and Kate were applauding the Czech Republic girl, Karolína Plíšková. And they're like, how dare they root against an Australian girl? She's part of the Commonwealth. It's very important to Australia that like Ash Barty won. It's like one of the biggest Australian sporting stories of the year. So they were so mad. And then Kate made a total ass of herself when Ash Barty went back to talk to people in the royal box, which is what the winner gets to do.
Okay.
And Kate dominated the conversation. She like interrupted the Duke of Kent and William.
Yeah. I'm sorry to the Duke of Kent, man. He looks like he did that job really well for decades. Now Kate is coming in to do it, but she was wearing her green dress, looking all keen.
She's had her knives out for the Duke of Kent this entire time. She's wanted his job, and she finally got him out.
So we also had the Euro finals over the weekend, and Italy beat England. And the delicious part of that was that Meghan's name was trending on social media because the Italians were like, aha, take that, England. This is for Meghan or whatever.
Yeah, they were like writing, this one's for Meghan on their flags, and we're doing this for Harry and Meghan. It was great.
It was funny as hell. And then the poor players for England who missed the penalty kicks, they felt terrible about it. I don't know enough about sports to know everything, but they felt really bad because they lost the match for their team. And British people were being super racist to them online.
Right. Like immediately.
Yeah.
Only a matter of minutes after they lost the game.
Why are you abusing your own players, first of all, but also that's despicable. And the Football Association issued a statement against it. And Prince William, who's president of the Football Association and is so tired of racism in football.
Bored. He's bored with racism.
Oh, he's bored. Yeah, he's so bored of it. He said that before, but this time he said, I am sickened by the racist abuse aimed at England players after last night's match. It is totally unacceptable. Blah, blah, blah. It must stop now, and all those involved should be held accountable. W. We know he wrote it because he put W after it.
And he only issued that the morning after. The abuse started that night. There were like riots and like tons of bullshit that night. One of the players had to shut down his Instagram because the racist comments were so bad.
Oh, that's terrible.
And like William waited until the next morning to say he's sickened.
I'm sickened, stop it. Acting like they're little kids and he could just go stop it.
That's how he campaigned against racism, specifically in football. He just wanted to come in and say, oh, you guys, racism in football is terrible. I'm so bored with it. Stop it. And that's it.
Of course, he's not addressing systemic racism, and because he's very much not a racist person or part of a racist family. A lot of outlets, but not the British outlets, they were ignoring it, were pointing out how hypocritical it was of him never to say shit about the racist way Meghan was treated by the British press. They never said anything against that.
Right. And like, what's insane is that the British outlets, which I read all day, I'm always looking for stories and trying to figure out what are the British tabloids' storylines? What are they going with? They're writing 20 million articles about how Meghan's got a new Netflix project, or this Lifetime movie about Meghan and Harry looks so trashy. They wrote and wrote and wrote about it. And they have not done one article about how the entire world called William a racist hypocrite.
Because they're racist too. They make money off being racist against Meghan. Plus, William feeds them stories. William probably participated in a lot of those stories against Meghan, or his team did. So at the end of the match, which England lost, William left without congratulating the Italian team, which he's supposed to do as the damn president of the Football Association. And he was supposed to participate in that trophy ceremony, and the Italians are saying that he snubbed them.
Right. I think that there were probably legitimate issues of security because a lot of people were like storming the pitch, the field.
Oh, after the loss.
Yeah, like I think that could have reasonably been an issue. But they already spent days hyping the fact that William was going to be on the pitch, part of the trophy presentation. And so it did look weird that he didn't go down for the handing of the trophy to the Italian team. And he didn't shake hands with the Italian prime minister who was there. And he didn't congratulate the Italian team. He just, a piss baby, he so immature. Like he couldn't even congratulate Italy.
Yeah. And if there was a security reason why he couldn't go down there, he could have written something on Instagram or Twitter.
Right. Or just have Kensington Palace issue a statement saying the reason why he didn't do this.
So the other big story this week was this beef between the older royals. And this was surprisingly good.
It was good.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
It's crazy.
A really fun story to have past the Meghan, Harry, William, Kate bullshit. It's like the older royals are like petty drama queens too. It's awesome.
So Sophie and Edward, the Countess and Count of Wessex.
Earl of Wessex and Countess of Wessex.
The Earl and Countess. They're trying to take a bigger role now that Philip has passed. And we've been talking about this on the podcast. Usually we put it in the comments of the week about how, Philip wants Sophie to take a bigger role. And Philip's also said to have wanted Prince Edward to inherit his Duke of Edinburgh title when he passed. But that title went to Charles because that's automatic. And now Charles is saying that this is all told through sources to the British press, but Charles is not going to pass the title to Edward. So 2 different sources told the Times of London that Charles didn't want to give this title to Edward. And they said, the prince is the Duke of Edinburgh as it stands, and it is up to him what happens to the title. It will not go to Edward.
Just like flat hard.
Yeah.
It's not going to Edward. Fuck you. And we knew that there was something else, happening, that there was a lot of drama behind the scenes. And then thankfully, Prince Charles's people briefed Richard Kay at the Daily Mail. And so we had this amazing follow-up story in the Mail.
And Richard Kay wrote, after 2 high-profile interviews in which Edward talked about the challenge of inheriting his father's dukedom, it does seem as if there is a bit of Wessex fatigue among some members of the firm. Ooh. Charles is like, no, bitch, you're not going to get that dukedom. This is some petty royal shit, All
right, let's just say this. Edward and Sophie have been itching to get a bigger profile ever since Harry and Meghan left, really.
Yeah.
They've been pushing themselves as the replacements for Harry and Meghan. And then they kicked it up a bonkers level when Philip died. And all of a sudden they were giving these full-blown interviews. They went on a fucking grief tour. I understand why Charles thinks it's tacky, because it is. Sophie and Edward have no chill.
They do. They're desperate. But that's true of all the leftover royals. Everybody left is just telegraphing what they want, so clearly. Kate is keen, and Kate is taking care of her husband, and William's whatever, I run everything, I'm the king.
Yeah, Kate is the most important person in the monarchy, and Sophie is but I'm the closest person to the queen. That was her big thing.
So funny. Yeah, she was pretending she's the queen's confidant. I also
understand why Charles doesn't want to give up the title to Edward because then Edward's son will end up with it, and then they'll just have like more dukes.
Oh.
Charles's whole thing is streamlining the monarchy, cutting off all of these secondary.
That's his brother, though, and his nephew. It's not like they're cousins.
Yeah, but when Charles is king, it will be all about William and his family, really.
Yeah, but Charles is so fucking rich. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but I feel like Edward and Sophie should have known better.
They should have played it closer to the vest.
Yeah, or they should have just been sucking up to Camilla and Charles this whole time, instead of sucking up to the Queen and William and Kate. William and Kate don't have any power. Not really.
Not yet. All right, you want to talk about the Emmy nominations?
Sure.
Okay. So this week we got the Emmy nominations, and there were a lot of nominations across the categories. Like some categories had 8, some had 5, and some of our favorite shows got nominated. We've been talking about Mare of Easttown. We talked about that on episode 93, and that got nominated along with acting nominations for Kate Winslet, Julianne Nicholson, and Evan Peters. And Lovecraft Country got a bunch of nominations, which I was happy to see because I love that show, but it didn't get renewed for some reason, which pisses me off. And Michael K. Williams got nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and he was phenomenal. I want him to win that category. And Jonathan Majors and Jurnee Smollett got nominated for the lead actor and actress.
Michael K. Williams is brilliant in everything he does.
Oh, he's so good. He breaks your heart. So there's 2 shows that were tied for the most nominations were The Crown and The Mandalorian. And after that, it was like Ted Lasso, WandaVision, Handmaid's Tale, and SNL for some reason.
Yeah, like, why aren't they still giving nominations to The Handmaid's Tale? Are people still watching that?
I've only talked to one person who still watches it, and it's torture porny now. I only watched it up to the second season. It was so violent. I was like, no, I'm good. And plus, when Trump was in power, it felt too real.
Yeah, exactly. I get why the stories are still there and, like, they might be too realistic and all that. But, like, why are you still making this movie?
And even Samira Wiley, who's in it, was saying, yeah, you can't really binge it because it's too depressing. She said that in an interview I watched with her. So, sorry, what were you saying?
No, I don't get it because it just seems so depressing right now.
Yeah. People like that, though. I mean, I love horror, but I don't like it when it's too realistic and seems like it could be real.
Yeah, I was happy about Ted Lasso. I mean, like, fucking everyone loves Ted Lasso.
You just have to watch one episode and it, like, touches you in a way that no show has, you know?
I like that Jason Sudeikis is like, we're done after 3 seasons. He has a particular story in his head that he wants to tell that has 3 parts. I think that's really cool. And it just seems like everyone on that show just really loves being there and working with him. And
it's so delightful. Yes, okay.
Yeah, it's just a great show. And I was happy to see all the nominations for The Crown. I mean, I make fun of it that it's like just a fancier Downton Abbey, but it is.
You wrote that line, Downton Abbey walked so the crown could run. I love that line.
True.
It was so good and true, yeah.
And like the Emmys love those like stuffy British shows, but like The Crown season 4, that was like the Diana season where she was introduced, and they handled that whole storyline so well.
They did, and Emma did such a great job in that role. She embodied Diana.
Right, and Josh O'Connor, too.
Yeah.
He was playing the quote-unquote villain, the Charles. He did it brilliantly, and he showed, like, how manipulative Charles really was the entire time.
He was the petty bit. He was like, he was so good at that role. So we talked about this on Zoom, and this is Karen, Amira, and Zakiya, and Karen is talking about Carl Lumbly from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, who was not nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that the only acting nominee out of Falcon and the Soldier was Don Cheadle. I really think Carl Lumbly should have been.
Yeah, I wasn't too upset about like Anthony or Sebastian, but I do think at the very least Carl should have gotten a nomination.
Right. He did just a phenomenal job on that show as Isaiah Bradley. And even Don Cheadle said, yeah, I don't get it either. So, yeah, he was just like in the first episode, and that was it.
Mare of Easttown did really good. We all knew Kate was going to get nominated, and Julianne.
I'm just glad Julianne got hers. I was like, we knew Kate.
Evan Peters.
That shocked me a little bit. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not that it was a gifted. I was just a little surprised. I wasn't expecting that one.
So yeah, Don Cheadle got nominated for Best Guest Actor, and I looked it up, and Cheadle and Carl Lumbly were submitted for different categories, but Carl didn't get picked, which is a shame because he was excellent in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, and it was also insane to see how like bloated some of the supporting categories were. You told me like, all right, let's see. Comedy and drama series have, what is it?
5. So I looked up the rules and they're kind of clumsily worded, but on the Emmy site, they say they just have to have parity. The actor and actress categories have to have the same number. Like in comedy, you have to have the same number of actresses and actors for supporting and for whatever. I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, all I know is that the supporting categories and the nominations are super bloated this year. They're all good. They're all very good nominations and all very worthy. It was a little bit crazy to like see how many like SNL actors were getting nominated. What the fuck?
So there's 8 supporting actor and actress nominees for drama, and there's 5 supporting actor and actress nominees for comedy. So paired performer categories will have parity in the number of nominations. So they just have to have the same number.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm saying it because I don't. It's still confusing to me. But yeah.
There's a good chance your fave was nominated. And if not, then just know that everyone else's fave was nominated.
Yeah. There were a lot of good shows this year, which was a good thing in this year we spent so much time at home.
Yeah. The one like big snub that like no one is even really talking about is that Mindy Kaling once again is getting snubbed for writing probably one of the funniest shows on television right now or on streaming, which is Never Have I Ever.
That was cringy to me. I couldn't watch it. I tried. It was funny, but I was like, oh, I think it reminded me too much of high school or something.
It was very realistic about like a type A kid in high school.
Oh, no wonder I didn't like it.
And it was, about an Indian family. And Mindy Kaling is one of the best showrunners and one of the best television writers out there right now. Comedic showrunners. And like, she never gets any respect from the Emmys.
That's a shame. And they forget her when she does write stuff. Like she got snubbed for her work on The Office.
Yeah, writing The Office. Yeah.
All right. You want to talk about Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, or let's skip them? Fuck them.
We can talk about them for a second. They're just kind of in a holding pattern right now. They're in love. They've been stepping out more and more for like pap strolls, and Ben is out with her kids. Like he's taking Emmy out, for pretzels. And
I think Max was there with him, but we just don't recognize Max like we recognize Emmy. Samuel was there too.
Samuel was there, but I don't think Max was there. I think one of little Emmy's friends was there.
Oh, okay.
And they just didn't know like how to identify that person. Jennifer's kids seemed totally cool with Ben. And there was this one photo, I'll just say this. It was a photo of Emmy looking up at Ben, and she looked like really into whatever he was saying. And they're like mother, like daughter, man.
Oh.
She likes Ben a lot too.
All right. Well, that's good if he's bonding with her kids. It seems sudden to those of us on the outside, especially because it's also public.
You also have to think about how much of a douche A-Rod was. Maybe Max and Emmy kind of hated A-Rod.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, who wouldn't hate A-Rod? So we talked about this on Zoom, and this is Susan and Amira.
Remember the picture, the paparazzi picture of the two of them kissing at the dinner, outside dinner? And it really looked hot and heavy. If you saw the whole video of it, they were interrupted by her son, who was like, tugging on Ben's shoulder and like was showing him something like, can you guys stop, with your tongues down each other's throats and help me with this? It's like her kids were right there. Like,
And then she has the audacity to talk about she's okay with being alone. I'm like, when have you ever been alone?
Exactly.
Like, stop lying. I feel like she's hearing the rumblings of what people are saying about her right now, and she's saying something else to try to counter. But it's like, but you're showing us that that's not true, because if that were true, you would have just dumped A-Rod and went about your life and not gone back and like dug through the trash for your old boyfriend, you know, like.
So yeah, Amira is referencing a couple of interviews that J.Lo has done where she's saying, oh, I'm great on my own. Happiness starts within me. Girl, we see you. It took you a hot minute to skip from A-Rod. She probably waited to dump him till she had Ben lined up. Whatever.
Exactly. That's exactly what she did. And like, I'm not one of those give your pussy a rest people. Like, I think if you want to like date men back to back, if you want to pick up a new man like the second after you break up with your old man, that's fine. I think if that's what makes you happy, don't let your pussy rest.
Karen said something about that, and I didn't put it in there because I thought it would be controversial. Karen, you know what you said. It was funny. It's like you knew it. You knew what we were talking about, but you weren't there. It's so funny.
I'm just like, my gosh, your vagina must be exhausted. I mean, just jumping from dick to dick.
My mother said the same thing.
All right, let's move on to the comments of the week. My comment of the week is on a story about Maggie Gyllenhaal's bad outfit at Cannes. She was wearing like this Chanel tulle big ball skirt with a white blazer. It was kind of ugly. But Owen Wilson was in there. And you wrote about how young people are just discovering him in Loki. And all of us old people on Twitter are like, yeah, he has a long career and you should know who he is. So my comment is from Even Star, and they quoted you saying that young people never heard of Owen before and wrote, untrue, we just thought his name was Lightning McQueen. I thought that was so cute. My kid watched Cars when he was little.
Yeah, but like, seriously though, how did these kids not know Owen Wilson? Like, he's been in tons of movies.
They're not watching the older movies, and he's more of a character actor. He's not as much of a leading actor, but they're not watching older movies. But I make sure my kid has a well-rounded pop culture knowledge base. Yeah. He's been watching that stuff. So
like, wait till these like Gen Zers find out that we used to call him the Butterscotch Sal, you know.
He's hot, and he's still got it. I mean, he had it in Loki too.
He's very cute.
He is. You know, he's a fabulous character actor, and there's such a call for that. You know, not everybody is a leading man.
Yeah, but he used to be a leading man. Like, he used to star and shit. Like, Wedding Crashers was a huge fucking movie.
Wedding Crashers, yeah.
And he was in that Marley and Me about the dog, and like...
I didn't watch that fucking movie. Did you watch that movie?
He was really cute in it.
Yeah, he's
Owen
cute.
Wilson was
I didn't
very
watch
cute.
that movie. I just figured it was going to be a tearjerker, and it with Jennifer Aniston and dogs dying, so I was like, nope.
It wasn't really about the dog dying, though. It was just about the puppy growing up.
Oh, okay.
All right, Mike. I can't believe I'm like doing this full-throated defense of Owen Wilson.
You gotta watch Marley and Me. It's so good.
I never was even that big of a fan of Owen Wilson, like back in the day when he was like super famous. But it annoys me that the kids don't even know who he is. And what's also really funny about him being in Loki is that Tom Hiddleston used to do an impression of his voice on television for years and years.
Oh,
like, he would
cute.
do that in interviews. Because Tom is executive producer. I wonder if that's why he wanted Owen Wilson.
Oh, that was smart.
All right. My comment of the week was from one of the other stupid Prince Charles stories, which is someone told the Daily Mail something about how Prince Charles intended to have dinner with Prince Harry when Harry was in town. There was like all this angst on Charles' side for no fucking reason. And so no one could even establish that Charles even called Harry to set up the dinner. Anyway, so the commenter Sunday wrote, "What the fuck is this Craigslist misconnections of an article? You were the ginger prince, duty bound and wrapped up in events and unveilings. I was the anthropomorphized tampon who will forever regret not asking you to dinner."
Oh man. It's That's a reference to Charles telling Camilla he wanted to be her tampon. But that came out in the phone hack thing, right? That wasn't...
The original phone hack. Way back in the
day, way back.
Early 90s.
Okay. When it was easy to hack phones. He just had to be in the vicinity on the right channel.
Yeah, basically.
Because everyone repeats it like Charles said it to the press or something. And I feel kind of bad for him because, you know, he got hacked. It's gross. Like, who would even think of that? But it's not really his fault that it got out there, you know?
I was trying to remember, like, real quick about... It wasn't a hack per se back in those days. It was like amateur radio people like picking up the frequency of various cell phones.
Have you ever done that? Like, I used to have a cordless phone in the 90s in my apartment in Buffalo, New York. I was calling my best friend once and we listened to the drama of my neighbors. So you live in the country, so you might not have had this, but you could pick up everybody's conversations, like no problem.
I remember, like, you could pick up, like, baby monitors.
Yeah.
And, like, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was super easy to hack, in quotes, back then.
Yeah. There was a big conspiracy about one of the hacked calls from Diana back then. Someone really believed that maybe, like, the MI5 or MI6 had recorded some of her phone calls to James Hewitt and then, like, leaked it to the press.
They might have, because they could make some cash like that.
Well, that goes into like all these conspiracies about Diana and her life and death.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening, bitches.
Thanks, bitches.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again.